Your kind doesn't belong here. That's what he said. Not shouted, not whispered. Just dropped the words like gravel, right at the feet of a 16-year-old boy. The boy didn't flinch, didn't look up right away. He just closed the book in his lap calmly. He'd been waiting for his little brother. That's all. Sitting under a tree, clean black suit, polished shoes, a quiet Saturday evening in Ashland Park. Families all around. Kids still chasing soccer balls. Birds in the trees. But suddenly, the air shifted. 5 bikers. Leather jackets. Boots heavy against the gravel. Eyes locked on the kid like he was the only thing that didn't fit. He noticed. Of course he did. And still, he didn't move. Because sometimes, the strongest people don't make the first move. They make the last one. And what happened next? Well, it wasn't about fists. Or fear. It was about control. About standing your ground. When everything tells you to back down. Thank you for being here. Sometimes, the smallest moments carry the greatest meaning. Today's story is one of those quiet, powerful, and worth remembering. If it touches your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like more stories like this, you're warmly invited to subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Now, let's take a closer look at what really happened. Ashland Park, Oregon, Saturday evening, the breeze rolled in like it had nowhere else to be. A crisp, amber sort of evening, where everything felt peaceful. You could hear the soccer whistles, the hum of sprinklers nearby, and that warm, subtle hush of families just enjoying a weekend. Evan Cole sat under an old oak near the far edge of the field. Alone, calm. He wore a fitted black jacket, polished shoes, and a white shirt buttoned to the top. He wasn't dressed for the park. But he didn't care. Next to him a book. Not his phone. Not earbuds. A paperback novel, the kind with creased corners and worn pages. He was waiting. His little brother Tyler was finishing soccer practice just a few yards away. Their mom had asked him to walk Tyler home after the game. He said yes, like he always did, because Evan was steady like that. He flipped a page, tucked his leg under him, let the world pass by. Then came the sound, low at first like distant thunder engines, not cars, not trucks, motorcycles, 5 of them. The growl of metal and fuel echoed through the park like it didn't belong there. And maybe it didn't. The bikes didn't roll through. They rolled in. And stopped. Right next to the field. People looked. Some paused. Most didn't care. They assumed it was nothing. Just noise. But Evan noticed something different. The men didn't talk. They didn't laugh. They just scanned the park, eyes sharp, scanning like searchlights. And then they saw him. Under the tree. Alone. Their eyes locked onto him. And didn't let go. Evan didn't react. Not much, anyway. He glanced up. Just enough to see. And then back to his book. But his mind shifted. His stomach tightened. Not out of fear, but awareness. He'd felt this kind of energy before. At the dojo, in tournaments, in the long quiet of a sparring ring, seconds before the match begins. When the opponent isn't just testing your stance, they're testing you. Let me pause here. You see, Evan had been training in martial arts for years. Not to fight, to listen, to control, to learn discipline when things get loud, and your heart wants to run. It's what his mother always said. Don't let them see you sweat. Don't let them take your ground. So that's what he did. He stayed. Still. Grounded. But the bikers, they weren't done watching. The biggest one, shaved head, wide chest, dark leather with silver zippers, nudged one of his buddies. Then started walking. Straight toward Evan. Behind him 2 others followed. Their boots clacked against the path. Gravel shifted. Birds rustled overhead. But Evan didn't move. He closed his book slowly, marked the page with a receipt, and waited. Ashland Park, beneath the oak tree, the man stepped closer. Boots heavy, shadow long. Evan looked up, just once. The man's face was hard to read, but not hard to understand. There was no curiosity in his eyes, no kindness, just challenge. He stopped about 2 feet away. Hey, what you doing here, kid? The voice was low. Rough. Gravel laced in motor oil. Evan didn't answer right away. He looked at him, studied him, took in the distance, the stance, the tension in the shoulders. Then he answered quietly. Waiting for my brother. The man chuckled, one of those humorless laughs. This doesn't look like your kind of place. Another step forward. Just a half step, but enough. Evan's jaw tightened. He didn't smile, didn't react. It's a public park, he said, voice even. Behind the first man, the other two bikers spread out slightly. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to surround. People were still moving around. Kids were still laughing. Soccer balls still flying across the field. But under that tree a new game had started. One with no referee. No whistle. Just instinct. The first biker narrowed his eyes. Smart mouth, huh? He muttered. He leaned in closer, too close. The smell of tobacco clung to his jacket, his breath, his skin. Evan stayed calm. His hands rested on his knees. Palms relaxed. He didn't move. Trouble, the biker said. Who said anything about trouble? Evan could feel their eyes on him. The silent invitation, the test. How much will you take before you break? He didn't break. Not yet. Then, a voice. High, clear. Leave him alone. Evan turned his head just slightly. Tyler, his little brother, was standing a few feet away. Soccer jersey still damp with sweat. Eyes wide. Tyler, stay back, Evan called. But the bikers turned, grinning now. Is this your brother? One of them asked, nodding toward the boy. Maybe we should teach you both a lesson. That's when something shifted. Evan stood up. Not fast, not dramatic. Just deliberate. He rose like someone who knew exactly what was coming and exactly what he needed to do. His feet moved apart, just slightly. Weight balanced. He shifted into a stance most people wouldn't recognize, but one his instructors would have nodded at centered. Ready? Calm. Don't touch him, Evan said. The words weren't loud, but they landed heavy. The lead biker barked out a laugh. Look at this guy. Thinks he's tough. The others laughed too, but they were laughing too loud, too sharp. It wasn't confidence, it was nervous, because Evan didn't move, didn't blink, didn't flinch, just stood there like the ground belonged to him. You're not going to do anything, one of them sneered. And that's when Evan spoke again. Still calm. Still quiet. You don't want to do this. They didn't understand why those words chilled them, but they did. The big one. He stepped forward again. This time fast. Hand raised. A shove headed straight for Evan's chest. But it never landed. Evan moved. Quick as a shadow. Quiet as breath. He sidestepped. One clean shift. The biker's hand swiped the air. Off. Balance. Just for a second. That's all Evan needed. His palm snapped upward, striking the man's wrist and twisting it down. The biker grunted. His hand dropped. He staggered back, face twisted in pain. What the? Before he could finish, Evan said softly, I warned you. The two others lunged in. One threw a wild punch. Evan ducked. Pivoted, his foot snapped out sharp and low. Connected clean to the man's knee. The biker went down with a shout. The other one paused. Just a second. But Evan was already moving. A spin, a strike. His heel met ribs. The biker dropped back, gasping. By now, a few people in the park had noticed. Heads turned. Phones came out. A small crowd began to form. But Evan didn't look up. The big one, he was back. Red-faced, roaring now. He swung with both fists. But Evan didn't meet force with force. He danced around it, agile, focused, a step here, a shift there. And then, one strike. Right to the solar plexus, the biker froze. Then stumbled back, clutching his chest, breath gone. Fight fading. Nuff, Evan said. Loud now, clear. His voice echoed across the park. Not angry, not afraid. Just fight it tall. Not a scratch on him. Expression still calm. I don't want to hurt you, he said. Walk away. For a moment, silence. Then the leader hissed, let's go. The others limped to their bikes. But as they revved their engines, the leader turned back. Pointed at Evan. This ain't over, kid. Then they were gone. But Evan didn't respond. He didn't gloat. Didn't smile. Just stood there quiet. Until he felt Tyler's hand grab his. Are you okay? His brother whispered. Evan nodded. I'm fine. Then, let's go home. The walk home, the bikes were gone. The crowd, dispersing. Phones sliding back into pockets. Conversations picking up again. But quieter now. Evan and Tyler walked in silence. Side by side. Just the sound of their sneakers on the sidewalk. And the echo of something that couldn't quite be named. Tyler kept glancing up, eyes still wide, still shaken. Finally, he couldn't hold it in. Michael, how did you do all that? He said his brother's name the old way. The safe way. Evan didn't answer right away. He just looked ahead like the answer wasn't in words yet. They were huge, Tyler said again. And there were 3 of them. He even smiled, just barely. It's not about being bigger, he said. It's about being ready, Tyler blinked. Ready how? Ivan stopped walking. Staying calm, he said. Not letting fear decide for you. And knowing when to act. Tyler frowned. But what if they come back? There it was. The real question. The one that had been sitting in both of them since the park. Evan's face didn't change. If they do, he said slowly, well, handle it. He looked his brother in the eyes. But listen to me. Tyler did. What happened today wasn't about fighting. It was about standing up for what's right. For you. For me. He crouched down, hand on Tyler's shoulder. Violence. That's never the goal. Only when there's no other choice. Tyler nodded. Slowly, quietly, processing, learning. When they turned the corner, their mom was already on the porch. Arms crossed. Worried. You're late, she said. Her voice was sharp, but only because she'd been scared. Avon hesitated. He glanced at Tyler, then back at her. Something happened, he said. She stepped down from the porch. Her face changed. What do you mean, she asked, moving closer. Avon didn't sugarcoat it, but he didn't dramatize it either. Just told her, clean, calm, honest. When he finished, she was quiet, really quiet. And then, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. Not too tight, not desperate, just long enough. Then she pulled back and looked at him. Ivan, she said, her voice thick, I'm proud of you. For protecting your brother. And yourself. But promise me something. He nodded. Anything. Don't ever take risks like that unless you have no other choice. I promise, he said. And he meant it. That night in bed, Ivan stared at the ceiling. His muscles still hummed with adrenaline. But it wasn't the fight he kept replaying. It was the moment before, the breath, the silence, the decision. He thought about the biker's final words. This ain't over, kid. But even as he repeated it in his mind, he felt no fear. Not anymore. Because fear only has power if you feed it. Instead, Evan felt something else. Not pride, not even relief. Purpose. A quiet, solid kind of purpose. The kind that doesn't need applause. Just direction. The lesson beneath the silencer. Morning came with soft light. The kind that makes everything look a little newer. Even sat on the porch. Same suit from yesterday. Still clean. Still pressed. Shoes polished even after the dirt. He didn't plan to wear it again today. But he hadn't taken it off yet either. Something about the weight of it on his shoulders grounded him. Inside, Tyler was finishing breakfast. Their mom moved gently in the kitchen. No one was rushing. But no one was forgetting either. The day before had settled like dust in the corners of the house. Not loud, not sharp. Just present. Outside, a neighbor passed by. He paused at the gate, gave a polite nod, and said nothing. But there was something different in his glance. Respect. He must have heard. The town talks. Quietly. And what happened at Ashland Park had already started to ripple. Avon didn't need the attention. Didn't want it. Really. Because what mattered wasn't who saw it. It was who learned from it. He thought about that moment. When everything could have exploded. When fists were raised. And the air was about to snap. But he didn't respond with anger. Or ego. Or fear. He responded with control. He stood his ground. He chose discipline. That's what real strength is, isn't it? It's not shouting louder. Or swinging first. Or proving you're tougher. It's knowing your worth. And protecting it without needing to destroy someone else. It's about defending what matters with clarity, not chaos. Tyler came out onto the porch. Barefoot. Holding 2 mugs of cocoa, he handed one to Evan. The steam curled upward between them. No words exchanged for a long minute. Then Tyler said, quietly, I told Coach you were my big brother. Even smiled. Tyler added, he said we're lucky to have someone like you. Even didn't reply. He just looked out across the street and let the moment land where it needed to. Some fights never really end. But that's okay. Because the point isn't always to win. Sometimes the point is to remind the world. That calm is stronger than cruelty. That respect is louder than rage. And that even a quiet voice, when backed by discipline, can silence a storm. Not every battle is loud. Some happen in the smallest corners of our lives. A park bench, a brother's safety, a moment where no one else is looking. And in those quiet moments, you find out what you really believe. Avon didn't fight to win. He didn't fight for pride. He fought because it was the right thing to do. And he stopped the moment it was safe to. That's discipline. That's the kind of strength the world doesn't always recognize, but desperately needs. It's not about being fearless. It's about being brave anyway, especially when someone smaller is watching, because courage passed down quietly can shape the next generation far more than anger ever could. So if you're a parent, a mentor, a teacher, or even just someone who's been through storms of your own, pass that stillness on. The world is noisy enough. Teach someone how to be calm when it matters most. If this story touched you, take a moment and let us know in the comments. Have you ever had to stand your ground, not with force, but with quiet resolve? We'd love to hear your story. And if you believe the world needs more voices like Evan's, more strength that doesn't shout, then please subscribe and tap the bell, because next time the quietest moment might be your own.